finished generator job, because I usually video this in the middle of the night and it's normally quite dark. So I also printed a manual which is basically, it's not quite an opening it anyway, but I printed it out because apparently it's based on the Parker generator. So I found out that the original company that makes these generators is Parker. Now, I decided to give you a bit close up of all the paint job and everything, because I didn't really video it during the day. So that's a heavy duty fuel line. Obviously painted all the canopy, and the top brackets were a little bit oxidized, so I actually sprayed them with heat-proof paint, even though these don't get really hot, but it just cleaned it up a bit because some of the chrome was missing on there. So I thought I'd just give you a quick overview of the show you some close-ups of it and everything. And yeah, so if you look on YouTube for Parker gasoline generator, you'll find some other videos of other people have made of the same generator, petrol gasoline generator they call it. So anyway, you can see a bit better on the paint job. It's I've had it running recently to bake the paint on a bit, and I thought I'd give you a bit of a close-up to show you what it came out like. I like my new wheels. I was thinking about painting them, but I realised it's chrome. The wheels, these new wheels, are actually, I think it's chrome, so I'm not going to paint them unless they rust, obviously. But I'll just turn it around. I also cleaned up the front panel because I had the panel off, so basically I cleaned all this, all the plastic areas, and I replaced some of the bolts. Oh yeah, I forgot to show you that. Some of the bolts on the mounting, these bolts, I actually had some new ones, and I replaced some of these, not all of them, just some of them. I also found some missing bolts, which there was a couple missing out on this starter recoil, so I replaced any bolts that were missing. I didn't clean the engine mount nuts though. Well, I haven't cleaned them, but they're okay anyway. They get pretty warm and they usually get oil on them, so they're not going to be not really going to rust anyway, because that's why you drain the oil. It's got new oil in it now anyway. So anyway, just keep going. So I was doing some research on reducing noise, and apparently there are some techniques for reducing the noise. The only difference between this one, by the way, and the Parker one is the exhaust seems to be a different mod. So this is, as I said, this is a copy, Chinese copy apparently. I also cleaned up the cover for the power head. All this was cleaned up, and I used some WD-40 to clean the plastic up, and yeah, so there's no more rust in it. So I'm just giving you close-ups of everything really right now, because I didn't really do much of a you can see my finger through there. So I'm looking at the noise transmission. So some of the noise from the engine is going to transmit through the bracket that the exhaust is mounted on, and vibrate and resonate this can. So I could, in theory, get some rubber grommet and mount this bracket and isolate it with a grommet to reduce the transmission of the engine through the frame. That would also reduce the noise levels. I could put a rubber grommet maybe on this bolt here, because this bracket's connected directly to the frame. So obviously it all carries noise. So anything I can do with this reduce the noise would be a good thing. And obviously this is the manufacturer rubber they put in on the back, by the way. Look, it's rubber. My friend Ken, I wasn't sure if he knew, but this is what the manufacturers used. This is rubber. The rubber I put on, it flopped down off the exhaust inside here and actually came in contact directly with the exhaust, and some of it melted, so I've took that away. But so there is no longer any rubber on the inside of this, on the outer metal, because it was causing me some issues. I've got some hairs and bits of fibre from that rubber or something in there, but I need to clean that out. But anyway, so yeah, I also wire brush some of these bolts as well. The exhaust was painted with heatproof paint. So yeah, I'm just wanting you to see underneath, because I can't see down there. I can't really look down there. I don't know if I painted underneath there, to be honest with you. I don't think I did I? Oh no, that's original tin. That's one of the tins. I was interested to see if I could get a new airbox that had a clip fit instead of bolts, screws, because these screws are a real pain to these screws here are a real pain to get out because of this bar being in the way. So there's a one you get where it clips on. I don't know, I shouldn't need to bother really, but what else is, I don't know if I could show you inside there. I don't know if a light will get in there. I don't know if I can get my arm around here actually. Oops. Yeah, I'm trying to get my arm around. I'm trying to show you what's inside the exhaust. You can see some rubber in there, I think maybe at the back. Well, it's too dark. Anyway, I'll be getting back to doing my free energy generator, the other project, the main project. I'll be getting back to doing that soon, probably October. The reason for that is it's been too warm, and the 3D printer, there's no point in generating more heat than what there already is, because there's too much flipping heat when it's warm weather. And it's better to use the 3D printer in the cooler months, because then I'm warming myself up as well and not cooking, you know what I mean. Otherwise I've got electric fans blowing because I get so frigging warm. I have to put the fan on and have all the doors open. So yeah. Anyway, I wanted to take it outside, but as you can see, it's a bit wet right now, and I get muck all over the tyres, and then when I bring it back in, it all ends up all over the kitchen floor. So yeah, we'll do another test run on it when it's dry. We've had rain all week. I'm not kidding you, it's been absolutely wet all week. So I'll put my bucket down. It's got some bricks and stuff. So yeah, the free energy research is not been cancelled, don't worry. I just had to get that petrol generator finished because we don't know when these power blackouts are going to happen, if they're going to happen, or how long they're going to be, or anything really. We don't know, but you can't be without cooking ability, and I've got no I don't have a gas cooker, so I'd be completely up the creek if we had power cuts, because I couldn't boil water, I couldn't do anything. And some people said, oh, well, you can get a camping stove and all that shit. Well, yeah, but the trouble with that is you're limited. You can't use a camping stove or anything to produce energy to charge your phones up. I know I've got my solar battery, obviously, up there, and that big one behind the curtain, which obviously I've got that, but that's not going to run much for very long. It can only run lights, really, and probably up to, I mean, it wouldn't last long if I was running, I mean, if I tried to boil a 300 watt kettle through the inverter, because I've got a couple of inverters. Obviously there's one under the table down there. Don't know if you can see it. I've got a couple of inverters. Oh, it's pretty dark. That one here. They're only 300 watts though, and I've got this one which is 200 watt, and they can't run a kettle. I can't get it out, it's stuck in there. So I've got this other 200 watt one. You can't run a kettle on that, really, and besides that, I don't think my my cells, my lithium cells, would be too happy about running a kettle, because they were recycled anyway and they weren't brand new, and they don't really have the capacity to run a heavy load for very long. Anyway, I've got these 3 segments for the free energy research, which I am trying to move these out of the way because I can't see what I'm doing. I've got these 6 segments which I'm going to be populating with the magnets in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to start doing them soon, because I've got the rotor on this side, the rotor on the front side, to repopulate with these new 6 segments, because I did the middle rotor. Do you remember, if you remember watching, I did the middle rotor. I've also got the back rotor, which is basically anti-clockwise, so I'm going to 3D print another 6 of these, but they'll be for the anti-clockwise. Yeah, they're slightly different orientation for some of the magnets on there, but so I've got to 3D print those. So I'll probably be 3D printing those end of this month, October time. But I am going to, in the meantime, I'm going to start populating these with the magnets for the front rotor and get this started, get this, well, this new configuration arrangement finished, and then I can do some more testing. The idea is that at some point, if I get to the point where this doesn't slow down, whether it's under a load, if I get the configuration right, which is the objective, I can start to increase output by using like a horseshoe arrangement of coupling between these bottom coil and the top coil, using some nanocrystalline foil or some other material to increase, just like you having a generator, an alternator on a motorcycle, where they have like a coil wrapped around a rod, and it's like it's shaped like a C shape, you know, those C coils, the shape, sort of, yeah, that sort of arrangement on the outside instead of the inside though, to improve the output, because by doing that it creates a magnetic circuit. But there's no point in me doing that until I get this configuration working right, because that would induce more drag if it's not done right to begin with. So anyway, that's basically where I'm at right now. I'm sorry about the delays and everything, but yeah, we're living in some pretty weird times, aren't we? Everything's gone bonkers, and there's so many people out there, you know, they aren't thinking about alternative energies and things like that. they're panicking. You know, they just don't know where their heads are, I suppose. I've just noticed though, I spoke to a guy on YouTube. People are starting to realise that there is alternatives, because the prices of petrol generators is starting to skyrocket. Some generators have gone up by £100 in the last year alone. In the last year, the generator that I've got in the kitchen, they used to be apparently £150 new, right? I think you were around 100. I think he said £140 when he bought it. Those particular ones, the Parker ones, the original brand, was 140 quid. Now they've got up to 250 or 260, so almost an extra £100 on top of what prices were before. So if you're going to get a generator, a petrol generator or something as a backup, you want to get one now before the prices go through the roof, because they're getting. And if you want a quiet one, you need to go with an inverter generator, because the inverter generators are generally a lot quieter than the and they have a better, cleaner output. For running computers, you can run computers or sensitive electronics on the inverter generators, but you can't run. I can't run a computer or sensitive electronics on the generator that's in the kitchen, because it's got a bit of a it's got a noisy waveform, unless you put some kind of choke on the output to a 230 volt choke to smooth out that noise. It would destroy your electronics, you know, sensitive electronics it would. But it's if you're going to go with a generator that's for domestic equipment, I can't say the word, you need to go with an inverter generator, because they have especially a pure sine wave one. But the trouble with that is they're very expensive. Generally, I think anything over £500, probably you're looking at. Some of them are over £1,000, the bigger ones. So I mean, yeah, you just got to look around, because I mean, there's no point in me giving you any price estimates, because the price is just going through the roof right now. Everything's just going through the roof. So anything I say now, which is in September 2022, is probably going to be completely invalid by 2023. You know what I mean? So I mean, everything's gone bonkers right now. And I think part of the reason as well, it's not just because there's high demand for the petrol generators or inverter generators or whatever. It's not just that, it's because transporting them by road is costing more money as well, because obviously you need petrol, you need fuel to transport heavy goods or heavy products. So anything that's large, that's heavy, is going to cost more money to ship as well. So you've got that problem. So it's not just demand, it's the cost of shipping. So everything's gone crazy. Anyway, I think that'll do. I've talked enough. Yeah, just wishing me luck. Hopefully we can solve this and this anti-drag generator, because if we can, it means that the amount of input power required to make power will be so small that we might end up in a situation where we can make more than what we put in. That's the objective anyway. That's the whole idea behind it. It's kind of some would say a pipe dream, some would say well, you know what I mean. But you gotta try, and you gotta hope, you gotta do your best, and maybe some of us or somebody out there will solve the energy crisis. You never know. Well, you won't know if you unless you try. You know, that's the way I see it. Anyway, I've waffled enough. I'm starting to talk myself into circles here. So, bye for now.